They called him the Invisible Man at the hospital. Every day he'd come at the same time, quietly clean, never spoke to anyone. Until that day when a patient went into cardiac arrest on the operating table, and while doctors panicked, he saved a life. Welcome to the Human Stories. Before we begin this powerful story, tell us in the comments which city you're watching from today. And if you believe stories like this need to be heard, hit that subscribe button and help us make sure they're remembered. At 5:45 a.m., the corridors of Chicago Mercy Hospital were still quiet. The night shift was trudging home tired, and the day team hadn't arrived yet. These calm moments existed for only a few people in the hospital. Emergency room doctors, night nurses, and of course, him. Robert Hayes was 58 years old, gray-haired, medium-built man. Every morning he'd arrive at the same time, put on his uniform in the staff room, and quietly begin his work. No one knew exactly when he'd started working there. He'd been accepted as if he'd always been there, never questioned. He'd take out his cleaning cart and slowly begin cleaning the corridors. His way of moving was striking, methodical, calculated. He'd clean every corner, every area systematically. But no one noticed these details, because to them, he was just the cleaning guy. Dr. Sarah Mitchell was one of the youngest cardiology specialists in the hospital. When she arrived at 7 a.m., she'd see the corridors spotless, but never noticed who cleaned them. Like the others, she perceived Robert as an invisible fixture. "Good morning, doctor." "Mitchell," said Nurse Linda during the coffee break, "you have a heart surgery today, don't you?" "Yes, a 65-year-old patient. Triple bypass. Quite a risky case," Sarah replied without looking up from her files. During this conversation, Robert was emptying the trash can right next to their table. But neither Sarah nor Linda noticed his presence. Robert heard what Dr. Mitchell said. Triple bypass, high-risk critical artery blockage. He didn't look up, just continued his work. That's how things went at the hospital. Doctors and nurses would discuss important matters, make life-saving decisions, while Robert cleaned as if he wasn't there at all. "You here again?" said Dr. James Harrison, one of the emergency department chiefs, as he passed by Robert. His tone was mocking, but not malicious, just indifferent. Robert nodded, didn't smile, didn't respond. Dr. Harrison wasn't expecting an answer anyway. At noon, the hospital got busy. Patients, visitors, doctors rushing around. Robert continued his work quietly amidst this chaos. While cleaning the operating room corridors, he could hear the sounds from inside. Blood pressure dropping. Is the defibrillator ready? Epinephrine now. These sounds were familiar to him, very familiar, but he just listened and continued his work. During the evening shift, Nurse Maria ran into him. "How long have you been here?" she asked with genuine curiosity. 5 years, Robert said, speaking sparingly. "Were you ever married?" Robert stopped. He remained silent for a while. "Once upon a time," he finally said. Maria didn't ask more questions, but she saw something in Robert's eyes. Not sadness, not nostalgia. An expression as if he was looking at a very distant past. Tuesday morning was like any other. Robert arrived at 5:45, put on his uniform, prepared his cart. While cleaning the operating room corridor, he heard rapid footsteps from inside. "Code Blue, Operating Room 3, cardiac arrest incoming." Dr. Sarah Mitchell ran into the operating room. She had 2 nurses and an anesthesia technician with her. Robert stopped his work and stepped aside to let them pass. They brought the patient on a stretcher, a man in his 50s, unconscious, heart rhythm irregular on the monitors. "Get him on the table, EKG now." Robert stood in the corridor, watching what was happening inside. From his vantage point, he could clearly see the operating table. The patient's color was pale, pulse weak. "Doctor, heart rhythm is extremely irregular. Prepare the defibrillator." Dr. Mitchell wasn't panicking, but the tension was obvious. This was one of her most difficult cases. Charging, 200 joules, charged and ready. Everyone clear. Shock. The patient's body jumped, but the heart rhythm didn't improve. Again, 300 joules. The second shock didn't work either. Sweat droplets appeared on Dr. Mitchell's forehead. Start CPR, epinephrine 1 milligram. The nurse began chest compressions, but the patient's condition was worsening. Robert watched this scene, something stirring inside him. This familiar situation, these sounds, this urgency. His hands trembled slightly. "Doctor, we're losing rhythm! Prepare atropine! Atropine ready?" But the patient wasn't responding. Dr. Mitchell's voice grew tense. "We're flatlining!" Defibrillator again. At this moment, Robert took a step forward. He was now at the threshold of the operating room. "Doctor," he said quietly. Dr. Mitchell didn't turn her head. "Not now. Please step out." "Doctor, check the patient's left arm." This time, Dr. Mitchell stopped. She looked at Robert. "What did you say?" "Left arm. Check the pulse. There might be a blockage in the main artery." Dr. Mitchell looked at him in amazement. You're the janitor." "Check his left arm," Robert repeated without raising his voice. Dr. Mitchell didn't know what to do, but the patient's condition was critical, and she had no other choice. She checked the patient's left arm. "Pulse is very weak. You're actually right." She was amazed. "Brachial artery blockage," Robert said. "Emergency thrombectomy needed." Everyone in the operating room was looking at Robert. Nurse Linda's mouth was agape. The anesthesia technician was frozen. How do you know this?" Dr. Mitchell asked. Robert took another step toward the operating room. "If you'll permit me, I can help." Dr. Mitchell was torn. "You're not authorized. The patient is dying." With these words, Robert entered the operating room. He quickly washed his hands and put on gloves. His movements were so professional that Dr. Mitchell couldn't object. "Do you have a thrombectomy catheter?" Nurse Linda handed over the catheter in amazement. Robert reached the artery in the patient's arm and began clearing the blockage with very careful, very precise movements. "How's the pulse?" he asked. "Getting stronger," said Dr. Mitchell, still in shock. Robert completed his procedure. A few minutes later, the patient's heart rhythm returned to normal. The monitors began beeping regularly. "Incredible," the nurse whispered. The patient became stable. Robert removed his gloves and checked the patient's pulse. "He's stable now," he said, "but needs close monitoring for 24 hours. Dr. Mitchell was frozen. "Who are you?" Robert looked at her. There was a long silence. "I'm a janitor." "No, you're not. Those movements, that knowledge, you're a doctor, aren't you?" Robert didn't want to answer, but everyone in the operating room was looking at him. "I used to be," he finally said. "What do you mean, used to be?" Robert headed toward the exit of the operating room, but Dr. Mitchell stopped him. "Wait. Please explain." Robert stopped. He took a deep breath. "Dr. Robert Hayes, former Army combat surgeon, cardiac specialist." Silence. "Former?" Dr. Mitchell's voice was trembling. "I served in Afghanistan, field hospital, 3 tours of duty." Dr. Mitchell's mouth fell open. "Afghanistan? 2008 to 2014, combat medicine in active war zone." Nurse Linda put her hand to her mouth. "And now, you're cleaning here?" Robert looked at her. "Yes. But why?" He didn't want to answer this question. It was too heavy. "PTSD, he finally said. "After I came back from war, I couldn't operate anymore. Hand tremors, panic attacks. I suspended my license." Dr. Mitchell understood now. "That's why you're here. I like being around the hospital, but I can't operate. I can only clean." There was deep silence in the operating room. Everyone felt the weight of this explanation. "But what you just did," said Dr. Mitchell. "It was an emergency, life or death situation. In those moments, the old me came back." The next day, the hospital was different. Robert arrived at 5:45 as usual, put on his uniform, took out his cart, but he was no longer invisible. When Dr. Mitchell saw him in the corridor, she approached. "Good morning, Doctor." "Hayes." Robert looked up. "Just, Robert is fine." "No, Dr. Hayes, you're a doctor." "Not anymore. Last night you saved a life. That doesn't change the fact that you're a doctor." Robert looked at her for a while. "Thank you, but I'm just a janitor now," Dr. Mitchell insisted. "I'd like to talk with you. Lunch break?" Robert hesitated. Then he nodded. During lunch break, Dr. Mitchell took Robert to the cafeteria. They got 2 coffees and sat in a quiet corner. "What happened in Afghanistan?" Dr. Mitchell asked. Robert remained silent for a long time. Then he began to speak. "Wounded soldiers came in every day. IED attacks, firefights. Sometimes we'd do 20 surgeries a day, non-stop, no rest." He paused, took a sip of his coffee. "The worst moment. A 19-year-old soldier named Marcus, hit by an IED, leg was shattered, shrapnel in the abdomen. I operated for 6 hours. Saved him." His eyes misted up. "Next day there was another attack. Marcus was there too. This time, I couldn't save him." Dr. Mitchell's heart clenched. "After that day, I see his face in every surgery. My hands shake, I can't breathe. One day during surgery, I fainted." That's a normal response. War trauma. "I know. I had therapy, took medication, but every time I get near an operating table, the same thing happens." Dr. Mitchell looked at him with deep sympathy. "So you clean here instead?" "Being in the hospital calms me, helping people, but without operating." "How did you manage last night?" "I don't know. In that moment, someone just had to do it, like autopilot. Maybe you're healing." Robert shook his head. "Maybe. But I'm not sure yet." After this conversation, something changed at the hospital. Dr. Mitchell shared Robert's story with other doctors, of course within confidentiality rules. Dr. James Harrison approached Robert that evening. "Dr. Mitchell told me. I apologize if I was disrespectful before." "You weren't," Robert said. "I really am a janitor. But you're also a hero doctor." Robert smiled. It was the first time some people had seen him smile. Chapter 5. New beginning weeks passed. The treatment toward Robert had completely changed. They no longer ignored him. On the contrary, they greeted him with respect, asked about his well-being. One day, Nurse Linda approached him. "Dr. Hayes, do you know patients are starting to notice you?" "What do you mean?" "Patients in the hallways, they want to talk to you, especially cardiac patients, like they sense something different about you." It was true. While Robert was cleaning the corridors, patients would approach him, asking questions about their surgeries. Robert initially avoided this, but then realized these conversations were good for him too. One day, a woman in her 60s approached him. "Doctor, I have heart surgery tomorrow. I'm scared." Robert stopped. "Being scared is normal, but they'll take good care of you." "You're a doctor too, right?" "The nurses told me." Robert hesitated. "Yes, but..." "Then you understand. Is this fear normal?" Robert looked at the woman. There was real fear in her eyes. "Very normal," he said. "I've done thousands of surgeries, never saw anyone who wasn't scared. But you know what? That fear makes you strong." "How?" "Your body is preparing to fight. That's a good thing." The woman seemed relieved. "Thank you, doctor." The next day, Dr. Mitchell found him. "The patient's surgery went perfectly. She asked about you, said talking to you made her feel much calmer." Robert smiled. "Good. Dr. Hayes, I have a proposal." "I'm listening." "We have an open position for patient counselor, someone to support patients before surgery. If you're interested." Robert was surprised. I can't operate." "We don't want you to operate. Just talk. Share your experience." Robert thought about it. "Would I have to stop cleaning?" "Number, you could do both. Part-time." This offer made Robert think deeply. That night at home, he sat on the terrace for a long time. He thought about his past, the days in Afghanistan, the lives he saved, those he lost. Then the last 5 years, the years of silence, and last night, his return to saving lives. Maybe it was time. Chapter 6. Transformation. A month later, a new sign was hung at the hospital. Patient counselor, Dr. Robert Hayes. Robert still cleaned, but now part-time. The other half, he talked with pre-surgery patients, giving them morale, answering their questions. On his first day, a 45-year-old male patient came to his office. "Doctor, I have heart valve surgery. What I read online scared me." Robert gestured for him to sit. What did you read? Complications, risks. What if I die? Robert looked at him. He'd heard this question many times. There is a risk of death? Yes. But let me tell you something. I did thousands of surgeries in a war zone, in the most difficult conditions, the most critical situations. And I always saw this. Those who stop fighting die. Those who fight live. The patient was listening carefully. Your body will fight to live. Doctors will help. But you'll fight the main battle. How do I fight this battle? Not by not being afraid. By living with the fear. Fear doesn't weaken you. It strengthens you. It's your body's alarm system. One more thing, Robert said. After surgery, there will be a long recovery process. We'll be with you during that time, too. You too? Me too. I'll stop by your room while cleaning. The patient smiled. You still clean? Yes. This hospital's my home. I clean every corner, care for every patient. This approach was very effective. Patients trusted Robert deeply. His being both a doctor and a hospital employee gave him special credibility. 6 months later, an event was organized at the hospital. Healing and Hope themed conference. Robert's story was one of the main topics. Dr. Mitchell took the stage. Today I'll share a special story with you about someone who has been working among us, invisible, for 5 years, but is actually one of our most valuable employees. Robert was sitting in the back row. Dr. Mitchell pointed to him. Dr. Robert Hayes, a former war surgeon, he saved hundreds of lives in Afghanistan, then experienced trauma and started working here as a janitor. Applause rose. Robert seemed embarrassed. But 6 months ago, in a critical moment, he revealed his doctor identity once again. He saved a patient's life, Dr. Mitchell told the story. The operating room crisis, Robert's intervention, the life-saving, and now Dr. Hayes works among us both as a patient counselor and as a janitor, because to him, this hospital is his home. Robert was invited to the stage. Initially reluctant, but with the audience's encouragement, he stood up. When he took the stage, he remained silent for a long time. 5 years ago, when I came to this hospital, I just wanted to be invisible, he finally said. I was running from my past, punishing myself. The audience was silent. But here I learned that we can't run from our past. We have to accept it, make peace with it. He paused, looked at the audience. I'm a doctor, but I'm also a janitor. Both are part of my identity. I'm proud of both. Applause rose. I want to say something to everyone working at the hospital. It's not just doctors who save lives. Nurses, technicians, janitors, security guards. We're all a team. Everyone's contribution is valuable. These words received great applause. And I want to say something to patients, too. Don't be afraid. There's an army here fighting for you. Visible and invisible heroes. Robert was given a standing ovation as he left the stage. Chapter 8. New Hope. After the conference, Robert's life completely changed. His story appeared in local newspapers, television news was made, but he still continued his work with the same humility. One morning, a young man came to the hospital. He was wearing a military uniform. His hand was bandaged. I'm looking for Dr. Hayes, he said to reception. When they found Robert, the young soldier approached him. Dr. Hayes, I'm Lieutenant Jake Morrison, just returned from Afghanistan. Robert looked at him. There was something familiar. I saw you on television, heard your story. I'm also going through difficult times, Robert understood. PTSD? Yes, and I'm starting to fear. Will I never be able to return to normal like you? Robert extended his hand to him. Come in, let's talk. They went to his office. Jake told his story. Bomb attacks, losing friends, traumas. I wanted to be a doctor, but now I can't even stand seeing blood. Robert listened to him. He saw his own past in this young man. Jake, let me tell you something. Healing is possible, but it takes patience. How did you heal? I haven't fully healed yet, but I'm halfway there, and I can help you. From that day on, Jake began working as a volunteer alongside Robert, first with simple tasks, then helping with patient counseling. 6 months later, Jake reapplied to medical school. "Because of you, I believe in myself again," he said to Robert. "You showed me that our past doesn't define our future." Robert smiled. "You showed me the same thing." And so, the man who was once invisible became one of the most seen, most loved people in the hospital. Because real heroes sometimes appear in the most unexpected places, in the most ordinary disguises. And Robert Hayes, with both his doctor and janitor identity, continued both cleaning the corridors and healing hearts at the hospital. Now, I ask you, have you ever met someone like Robert? Someone who seemed ordinary but had an extraordinary past? Share their story in the comments, because at the Human Stories, we believe the most powerful stories wait quietly. Thank you for watching. If this story touched you, subscribe and help us keep these voices alive.